The stars glittered against the endless black as the Vexari battleship cut through space. Its crystalline hull reflected the light of a nearby sun, casting rainbow patterns across its surface. On the command deck, High Commander Zorax watched, with cold eyes as another world burned. "The Altarian defense fleet has been destroyed, Commander," reported a junior officer. "Their orbital stations are disabled. The planet is yours." Zorax nodded, satisfaction evident in the slight twitch of his scaled jaw. For 300 years, the Vexari Empire had expanded across the stars. One by one, the other races had fallen. Some fought bravely, others begged for mercy. In the end, it made no difference. The Vexari conquered them all. "Begin the landing process," Zorax ordered. "I want their central government captured alive. The rest are irrelevant." The Altarians had resisted longer than most. 10 years of warfare had cost the Vexari more ships and soldiers than they cared to admit. But now, like all the others, they would serve the Empire. "Send word to the homeworld," Zorax added. "The Altarian Federation is no more. The Orion Spiral belongs completely to the Vexari. With the fall of the Altarians, no significant opposition remained in this section of the galaxy. 32 sentient species now lived under Vexari rule. Their resources fueled the Empire's war machines. Their people served as laborers and soldiers. Their worlds became stepping stones for further conquest. Far away on the outer edge of the galaxy, a small blue planet spun around an ordinary yellow star. Its inhabitants called it Earth, and they had no idea that beyond their solar system, an empire of conquerors was slowly moving in their direction. At Cape Canaveral, Captain John Miller stood watching as workers prepared the starship Horizon for its maiden voyage. After 20 years of development, humanity's first faster-than-light vessel was almost ready to launch. "Nervous, Captain?" asked a voice behind him. John turned to see Olivia Grant, the mission's chief science officer, walking toward him. Her red hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and she carried a tablet filled with pre-flight data. "Not nervous," John replied with a small smile. "Excited. Humans have dreamed about traveling to the stars for centuries, and we're going to be the first." Olivia nodded. "The warp drive tests were successful. If everything goes according to plan, we'll reach Alpha Centauri in 3 days instead of 4 years. If everything goes according to plan," John repeated. In his 15 years with the Navy, things rarely went according to plan. That was why they had chosen an experienced military officer to command humanity's first interstellar mission rather than a civilian. "The crew is assembled in the briefing room," Olivia said. "They're waiting for you." John followed her through the massive hangar. The Horizon wasn't large compared to traditional space vessels, but its technology was revolutionary. The ship was designed for speed and exploration, not combat. Earth had no enemies among the stars, at least none that they knew of. In the briefing room, 20 men and women in blue uniforms stood at attention as John entered. These were the best pilots, engineers, scientists, and specialists Earth had to offer. Each had trained for years for this historic mission. "At ease," John said. The crew relaxed slightly but remained focused. "In 48 hours, we will embark on the most important journey in human history. Our mission is simple. Test the warp drive in deep space, explore the Alpha Centauri system, and return home safely with our findings." Frank Collins, the tactical officer, raised his hand. "Captain, what are our protocols if we encounter intelligent alien life?" The room grew quiet. It was the question on everyone's mind. "We observe. We record. We do not interfere," John answered firmly. "First contact is not our mission objective. If we find evidence of alien civilization, we return immediately to Earth with our data so that properly trained diplomatic teams can make the decisions." Lisa Wright, the communications specialist, spoke next. "And if they find us first?" John met her eyes. "Then we represent humanity with dignity and caution. We're explorers, not conquerors." The next 2 days passed in a blur of final checks and preparations. News agencies from around the world gathered to witness the historic launch. The horizon represented the combined efforts of nations that had once been enemies, but now worked together toward a common goal. On the morning of the launch, John stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking at the view screen that showed Earth below them. The ship had been transported to low orbit via conventional rockets. Now came the moment of truth. "All systems are green," reported Alan Martinez from the engineering station. "Warp drive is online. Course to Alpha Centauri is plotted and ready," added Steve Anderson, the pilot. John took a deep breath. "This is Captain Miller to Mission Control. We are ready to engage warp drive on your mark." "Understood, Horizon," came the reply from Earth. "You are cleared for warp. Godspeed." John looked around at his crew. They had trained for this moment for years. Whatever waited among the stars, humanity was about to take its first real step into the galaxy. "Engage warp drive, Mr. Anderson." The pilot's fingers moved across the control panel. Outside, space seemed to bend as the experimental drive activated. The stars stretched into lines of light, and Earth vanished behind them. The horizon shuddered. Slightly, then steadied. On the view screen, the strange tunnel of warp space surrounded them. "Warp field is stable," reported Martinez. "All readings normal." John allowed himself a small smile. They had done it. Humans were traveling faster than light. "Captain," called out Lisa Wright suddenly, "I'm detecting a signal. It's not coming from Earth." The bridge fell silent. "What kind of signal?" John asked, moving to her station. "It appears to be a distress call," she said, her voice tight with surprise. "But it's not in any language I recognize. It's definitely not human." Olivia joined them, her eyes wide. "That's impossible. We're barely past the orbit of Mars. There shouldn't be any signals out here except our own satellites." "Play it," John ordered. A strange series of sounds filled the bridge, rising and falling tones that somehow conveyed desperation even without understandable words. "Can you trace it?" John asked. Lisa worked her controls. "It's coming from approximately 2 light years away, sir. Just off our plotted course." John's mind raced. Their mission was to reach Alpha Centauri, not to investigate strange signals. But a distress call, even an alien one, couldn't be ignored. "Mr. Anderson, adjust our course. Ms. Wright, continue monitoring that signal. Dr. Grant, I want everything we have on potential sources. Mr. Collins, bring all sensors to maximum range." As the crew hurried to obey, John stared at the view screen, watching the stars streak by. Humanity's first journey to another star had just become much more complicated than anyone had planned. Somewhere ahead, someone needed help. And the Horizon was the only ship that could reach them in time. The Horizon emerged from warp speed into an area of space littered with debris. Twisted metal and crystalline fragments floated in the vacuum, silent remains of what had once been vessels. "Full stop," John ordered. "Scan the area." The bridge crew worked quickly, their faces tense as information appeared on their screens. "Captain, I'm detecting a large vessel about 50,000 kilometers from our position," said Frank Collins. "It appears to be damaged, but intact. Life signs are present." Lisa Wright adjusted her equipment. "The distress signal is coming from that ship, sir. I'm trying to establish a translation matrix based on mathematical patterns in the broadcast." "Approach slowly," John said to Steve Anderson. "Keep us at a safe distance until we know what we're dealing with." The Horizon moved, carefully through the debris field. As they drew closer, the alien vessel became visible on the main screen. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, shaped like a flattened oval with delicate structures extending from its surface like branches. Parts of its hull were blackened and broken, revealing damaged systems within. "Energy weapons," Olivia noted, examining her readings. "Whatever happened here, it was deliberate. This ship was attacked." "Can we communicate with them?" John asked Lisa. She nodded. "I think so. Their transmission uses some basic mathematical principles that appear universal. I've constructed a simple greeting explaining who we are." "Send it," John ordered. Moments passed in tense silence. Then a response came through, a series of tones that Lisa's system began to translate. "They're asking for help," she said, looking up with wide eyes. "They're saying their systems are failing. Life support is damaged, and they're warning us to leave quickly before they return." John made his decision immediately. "Prepare a boarding team. Dr. Grant, you'll lead with medical personnel. Mr. Collins, select security officers to accompany them. We'll dock with their vessel and offer assistance." "Captain," Frank said hesitantly, "this goes beyond our mission parameters." "We're responding to a distress call," John replied firmly. "That's been a rule of spacefaring since humans first took to the seas. If someone needs help, we help them." Within 30 minutes, the Horizon had maneuvered alongside the alien vessel. Through careful scanning, they identified what appeared to be a docking port and established a sealed connection. Olivia led the boarding team, wearing an environmental suit as a precaution. Frank Collins and 2 security officers followed, along with a medical technician named Ryan Davis. The alien ship's interior was dimly lit by emergency lighting. The corridors were wider and taller than human standards, with a slight curve to the walls. The air was breathable but had a sweet, unfamiliar scent. "Hello?" Olivia called out. "We're from Earth. We received your distress signal." Movement came from ahead. The humans tensed, hands moving to their sidearms out of instinct. 3 figures emerged from the shadows. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, with slender bodies and 4 arms. Their skin was pale blue, and they had large, dark eyes that blinked rapidly as they regarded the humans. They wore what appeared to be uniform-like clothing, though it was torn and stained. One stepped forward cautiously. It made a series of sounds that Lisa translated through the team's communication devices. "You are not Vexari," came the translation. The alien's voice held confusion and relief. "We're humans," Olivia explained, "from the planet Earth. We picked up your distress call." The alien seemed to sway slightly. "I am Ambassador Nylith of the Altarian Federation, or what remains of it. Our home has fallen. We are refugees seeking sanctuary." Olivia glanced at Frank, who looked equally stunned. Their first contact with alien life, and it was with refugees from some unknown conflict. "We can help with medical attention and repairs," Olivia offered. "How many survivors are aboard?" 87, Nylith replied. "Mostly civilians. We escaped during the final attack on our homeworld. The Vexari Empire has hunted us across 3 star systems. We thought we had finally lost them when our engines failed." The name sent a chill through the human team. The Vexari Empire, the same group mentioned in the warning about who might return. "Let us begin helping your injured," Olivia suggested. "And you can tell us more about this empire." As the humans worked to treat the Altarian wounded and assess their ship's damage, Nylith explained their situation. The Vexari were conquerors who had spent centuries subjugating every intelligent species they encountered. Their technology was advanced, their methods brutal. The Altarians had been the last major civilization to resist them in this sector of the galaxy. "And now they're all gone," Nylith said softly. "Our cities, our history, our people, either destroyed or enslaved." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent call from the Horizon. "Dr. Grant," came John's voice over the comm. "Our sensors have detected 3 vessels approaching at high speed. They don't match any known configuration." Frank moved closer, to Nylith. "Are they Vexari?" The ambassador's large eyes widened in fear. "Yes. Scout ships, they've found us." "Return to the Horizon immediately," John ordered through the comm. "Bring as many Altarians as you can safely transport." The boarding team hurried to escort injured Altarians back through the docking connection. On the Horizon's bridge, John watched the approaching vessels with growing concern. They were sleek, predatory shapes with crystalline elements that glittered in the starlight. "They're powering weapons," Lisa reported anxiously, "and they're transmitting something. I think it's a demand for surrender." John's mind raced. The Horizon wasn't built for combat. It had minimal defensive capabilities designed only to deflect small debris. These alien ships were clearly military vessels. "Captain," Frank called as he returned to the bridge. "The Altarians say these are just scout ships. If we surrender, the aliens aboard will be killed and will be taken prisoner for interrogation." John straightened his shoulders. "Then we don't surrender. Mr. Anderson, prepare for emergency warp. Ms. Wright, can we extend our shields around the Altarian vessel?" "Theoretically, yes," Lisa answered, "but it would strain our systems significantly." "Do it," John ordered. "We're not leaving them behind." The Vexari ships closed in, firing warning shots that flashed past the horizon's bow. "Shields at maximum," Frank reported, extending to cover the Altarian ship now. The Vexari seemed startled by this action. Their formation broke slightly, giving John the opening he needed. "Release docking clamps but maintain shield extension," he commanded. "Mr. Anderson, execute evasion pattern Delta. Let's show these bullies what humans can do." No one had ever attempted complex maneuvers while extending shields to protect another vessel. The horizon shuddered as Anderson pushed its engines to their limits, spinning the ship in a tight arc that brought it around behind one of the Vexari scouts. "What are you doing?" asked Nylith, who had been brought to the bridge. "Your vessel cannot defeat Vexari warships." John gave a grim smile. "We're not trying to defeat them, just confuse them long enough to escape." As the Vexari ships adjusted their positions, the horizon darted between them, using the debris field for partial cover. The sudden, unpredictable movements seemed to confuse the Vexari targeting systems. "They're firing again," Frank warned. Blast struck the horizon shields, causing the lights to flicker. "Shield integrity at 60%, Lisa reported. "Almost there," John said, watching the tactical display. "Mr. Anderson, on my mark, execute warp jump to coordinates Alpha 7. The Vexari ships moved to surround them. Another hit rocked the horizon. "Now," John shouted. The warp drive engaged, pulling both the horizon and the shielded Altarian vessel into faster-than-light travel, just as the Vexari closed in for the kill. Ambassador Nylith stared at the humans with new understanding in her large eyes. No species had ever successfully escaped a Vexari attack force before. These humans, with their primitive technology and reckless courage, had done the impossible. And in that moment, a tiny spark of hope kindled in the hearts of the last free Altarians. The horizon emerged from warp speed in a remote area of space, far from any star system. Both ships had survived the jump, though the strain of extending shields around the Altarian vessel had taxed the horizon system severely. "Damage report," John ordered, steadying himself as the ship's lighting flickered back to normal. "Warp drive is overheated but functional," Alan Martinez reported from engineering. "Shield generators are at 30%. We'll need at least 12 hours to get them back to full capacity." John nodded. "Any sign of pursuit?" Frank checked his tactical display. "Nothing yet, Captain. But the Altarians say the Vexari have advanced tracking capabilities. We shouldn't stay in one place too long." Ambassador Nylith stood quietly near the back of the bridge, watching the humans work with curious eyes. In her long life, she had encountered many species, but none quite like these humans. They were physically unimpressive compared to many galactic races, yet they had done something no other species had managed. They had outmaneuvered a Vexari attack squadron. "Captain Miller," she said, stepping forward. "My people need to understand what just happened. How did your vessel escape? The Vexari targeting systems are precise enough to hit objects moving at sublight speeds with perfect accuracy." John turned to face her. "We were unpredictable. Your people and the Vexari have been fighting for years. You each know the other's tactics and capabilities. But we're new players in this game. They didn't know what to expect from us." Olivia added, "It seems their weapons are designed to track consistent flight patterns. Our evasive maneuvers followed. No logical sequence they could anticipate." Nylith's forearms moved in a gesture of understanding. "You are saying that your advantage was not technology but unpredictability." "Exactly," John said. "Now we need to figure out our next move. We can't return to Earth with Vexari ships possibly tracking us. We'd lead them straight to our homeworld, and my people cannot survive long in our damaged vessel, Nyleth said. We need a safe harbor. John called a meeting in the Horizon's conference room. The ship's senior officers gathered around the table, joined by Nyleth and 2 other Altarian leaders. They spent hours discussing options, learning more about the galaxy they had suddenly found themselves thrust into. The Vexari Empire controls most of the Orion Spiral, explained Nyleth, pointing to areas on a star map she had helped create. With the fall of our homeworld, no major power remains to oppose them. But there are still independent worlds in remote regions and resistance cells on occupied planets. Could any of these places offer sanctuary? John asked. Nyleth indicated a star system near the edge of the map. The Kaldar system has managed to stay independent by hiding their technology. They appear primitive to Vexari scanners, but they have advanced defenses hidden beneath their planet's surface. That's at least 2 weeks away at our maximum warp, Olivia pointed out. There's something else you should know, Nyleth said hesitantly. The Vexari never stop pursuing prey that has escaped them. It becomes a matter of pride. By helping us, you have made yourselves targets. The room fell silent as the humans absorbed this information. They had left Earth expecting a simple scientific mission. Now they were involved in an interstellar conflict against an enemy that would hunt them relentlessly. We need to contact Earth, John decided. They must be warned about the Vexari threat. A direct communication could be traced, Frank cautioned. Then we'll send an automated probe back with the information, John said. It can travel through warp without life support systems, moving faster than we can. While the engineers prepared a probe containing all they had learned about the Vexari, John worked with Nyleth to understand more about their enemy. Their ships are nearly impervious to conventional weapons, Nyleth explained. The crystalline hulls can absorb and redirect energy attacks. Every defense has a weakness, John insisted. We just need to find it. Olivia had been examining data from their brief encounter with the Vexari scouts. The crystalline material might be vulnerable to specific frequencies, she suggested. During our escape, our shields emitted radiation across a wide spectrum. I noticed fluctuations in their hull integrity when we released certain energy bands. This observation sparked intense work. While the Horizon and the Altarian vessel traveled toward the Kaldar system, Olivia led a team of human scientists and Altarian engineers in studying the Vexari technology. Back on Earth, the probe arrived, delivering its warning to a shocked United Earth Defense Council. Colonel Patricia Howard, the highest-ranking military strategist, immediately recognized the gravity of the situation. We need to prepare, she told the assembled leaders. If these Vexari discover Earth's location, we must be ready. Our technology is centuries behind what you're describing, argued one council member. How can we possibly defend against such an advanced enemy? Patricia's expression remained determined. The Horizon crew survived an encounter using only our current technology and unconventional tactics. We need to build on that advantage. She turned to Alan Martinez, who had been working on weapons development before joining the Horizon mission. The ion cannon prototype you were developing, could it be modified to emit specific energy frequencies? Theoretically, yes, Alan replied, but we'd need to know exactly which frequencies would be effective against their hulls. Then that's what we'll focus on, Patricia decided. Every weapon, every defense system we have needs to be adapted to fight in ways the Vexari won't expect. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Horizon and the Altarian vessel were approaching an uninhabited star system, where they planned to stop for repairs. John was on the bridge when Lisa called out urgently. Captain, I'm detecting 3 ships on an intercept course. Configuration matches Vexari vessels, but these are much larger than the scouts we encountered before. Red alert, John ordered. Prepare for evasive action. Nyleth hurried onto the bridge, her normally calm demeanor shaken. Those are Vexari battle cruisers. They must have reported our position before we escaped. The massive Vexari ships approached, rapidly, their crystalline structures gleaming menacingly in the light of the nearby star. They were at least 10 times the size of the Horizon, bristling with weapons. They're hailing us, Lisa reported. On screen, John commanded. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a Vexari commander. His scaled skin was dark green, his eyes yellow with vertical pupils. When he spoke, his voice was cold and precise. Unknown vessel, you have interfered with Imperial business and aided fugitives from Vexari justice. Surrender immediately, or be destroyed. John stood tall, facing the alien without showing fear. This is Captain John Miller of the Earth vessel Horizon. We responded to a distress call as any civilized species would do. We have no quarrel with your empire. The Vexari commander's eyes narrowed. Earth, we have no record of this world. Or species. Your technology is primitive, yet you eluded our scout ships. Interesting. Surrender now, and perhaps your species will be given favorable terms when we eventually find your homeworld. John's hands clenched at his sides. We don't surrender to bullies no matter how advanced their technology. Then you will be destroyed, the Vexari stated simply, ending the transmission. Options? John asked his crew, who were working frantically at their stations. Captain, Olivia called out excitedly, we've identified a frequency that destabilizes their crystalline structure. If we modify our shield emitters to project that specific band of radiation, do it, John ordered. Frank, prepare to target. Their weapons are raised the moment their shields show any weakness. As the Vexari cruisers moved into attack formation, the humans prepared for a battle that would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of Earth itself. The Vexari cruisers fired their first volley. Brilliant beams of energy lanced toward the horizon, designed to cripple the small Earth vessel with a single hit. Evasive maneuvers! John shouted. Steve Anderson's hands flew across the controls. The horizon rolled and dove in a pattern no training manual would recommend. 2 of the energy beams missed completely. The third grazed the shields, causing the ship to shudder. Shields holding at 25%, Frank reported. Olivia, status on the frequency modifications? John asked urgently. She worked furiously, at her station, assisted by an Altarian engineer. Almost there. We're adjusting the shield emitters to project the resonance frequency we identified. The Vexari commander's voice came through the comm system again. Impressive evasion for such a primitive vessel. Your species shows promise. Final chance to surrender. John ignored the message. Lisa, are the Altarians safely behind us? Yes, Captain. Their ship is in our shadow, protected from direct fire. The Vexari ships moved to surround them, clearly confused by the humans' refusal to follow expected battle tactics. Most species either fought in predictable patterns or surrendered when outmatched. These humans did neither. Frequency modulator ready, Olivia announced. But we'll need to drop our shields to project it effectively. John's jaw tightened. How long will we be vulnerable? 3 seconds minimum. 3 seconds against Vexari weapons could be a death sentence. John weighed their options and made his decision. Target the lead cruiser. On my mark, drop shields. Fire the modulator and restore shields immediately. Frank and Olivia nodded, tension evident on their faces. Ready. Mark. The horizon's shields flickered off. Instantly, Olivia activated the frequency modulator. A wave of invisible energy pulsed outward, striking the nearest Vexari cruiser. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the crystalline sections of the alien ship began to vibrate visibly. Shields up, John ordered. The shields reactivated, just as the Vexari fired again. The impact threw crew members against their stations. Did it work? John asked, steadying himself. On the view screen, they could see fracture lines spreading across the lead cruiser's hull. The massive ship's weapons faltered as systems failed. It worked, Olivia exclaimed. The resonance frequency is destabilizing. Their crystalline structure. The Vexari commander appeared on screen again, his yellow eyes wide with disbelief. What have you done? This is impossible. Nothing is impossible, John replied calmly. Stand down your weapons or we'll target your other ships next. The commander hissed in anger. This is not over, humans. The transmission cut off abruptly. The damaged Vexari cruiser began to retreat, its movement sluggish and uncoordinated. After a moment of apparent indecision, The other two cruisers followed. A cheer went up from the Horizon's crew. They had faced the supposedly invincible Vexari fleet and survived. More than survived, they had forced them to retreat. Ambassador Nyleth stared at the view screen in amazement. In all our years of fighting the Vexari, we never discovered this weakness. Sometimes it takes fresh eyes to see what's been there all along, Olivia said. John didn't allow the celebration to last long. They'll be back with reinforcements. We need to reach the Kaldar system quickly. The news of the Horizon's victory spread rapidly among the Altarian refugees. For the first time in years, they began to hope that the Vexari could be defeated as the ships continued their journey. John worked with Nyleth to establish communications with resistance cells on occupied worlds. The discovery of the Vexari weakness changed everything. If other species could replicate the frequency modulator technology, they might have a chance against their oppressors. On Earth, Colonel Patricia Howard received the update from a second probe. She immediately gathered the Defense Council. The Horizon has survived an engagement with Vexari warships, she announced. More importantly, they've identified a critical weakness in Vexari technology. The room buzzed with excited conversation. Patricia continued. We need to mass-produce these frequency modulators and arm every ship, satellite, and ground installation we have. The Vexari still don't know the location of Earth, a council member pointed out. Perhaps we should simply hide and avoid conflict. Patricia shook her head firmly. Captain Miller's report indicates the Vexari will never stop searching for new worlds to conquer. Whether it's next year or next century, they'll find us eventually. We need to be ready. She turned to Alan Martinez. How quickly can we modify our defense systems? With the specifications sent by Dr. Grant, we could have prototypes within a week, he replied. Mass production would take longer. Make it your top priority, Patricia ordered, and begin designing ships specifically to use this technology. Meanwhile, Diplomatic Officer Daniel Scott had another idea. Colonel, if other species are fighting against these Vexari, shouldn't we try to contact them? Form alliances? Patricia nodded. Yes. Captain Miller is already working to establish communications with resistance groups. We should prepare to welcome refugees and allies when the Horizon returns. In deep space, the Horizon and the Altarian vessel finally reached the Kaldar system. Hidden among dense asteroid fields, the planet Kaldar Prime appeared primitive to outside scans. But as they approached, sophisticated defense systems activated, scanning the incoming ships. We're being hailed, Lisa reported. A stern-faced alien appeared on screen. His skin was pale gray, his head adorned with ridge-like crests. Identify yourselves immediately. We detect one Altarian vessel and one unknown ship. Ambassador Nyleth stepped forward. I am Ambassador Nyleth of the Altarian Federation. We seek sanctuary from the Vexari. These humans from the planet Earth have helped us escape and have discovered a way to damage Vexari ships. The Kaldar official's expression changed from suspicious to intrigued. Humans, we have no record of this species, and you claim they can harm Vexari vessels? John joined Nyleth. We've developed a technology that exploits a weakness in the Vexari crystalline hull structure. We're willing to share this knowledge with those who fight against the Vexari Empire. After a brief consultation off-screen, the Kaldar official nodded. You may approach our main settlement. Transmit all information about this weapon immediately. As the ships were guided toward a hidden spaceport built into an asteroid, John felt a mixture of relief and concern. They had found allies, but they were still far from home, in a galaxy dominated by a powerful enemy. Captain, Frank said quietly, we should be careful about how much technology we share. We know very little about these Kaldar people. Agreed, John replied. But right now we need allies. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The Horizon docked at the hidden Kaldar base, which was far more advanced than it had first appeared. Representatives from several species had gathered to meet the newcomers, especially the unknown humans who had allegedly discovered a Vexari weakness. As John and his senior officers stepped out to meet them, Ambassador Nyleth addressed the assembled aliens. These humans have done what none of our species could accomplish in centuries of conflict. They have found a way to fight back against the Vexari. The crowd murmured with excitement and skepticism. John looked at the diverse gathering, some tall and spindly, others short and robust with varying colors and features. Yet all shared one thing. They had suffered under Vexari oppression. "We didn't come looking for a war," John told them, honestly. "But we won't stand by while innocent worlds are conquered and enslaved. Earth stands ready to join your resistance." A ripple of hope moved through the crowd. For the first time in generations, the subjugated species of the galaxy dared to imagine freedom from Vexari rule. And far away, in the heart of the Vexari Empire, High Commander Zorax received troubling news about an unknown species that had damaged one of his cruisers. His orders were immediate and clear. Find these humans. Find their homeworld. Destroy them before they could share their discovery with others. The race to save Earth had begun. 2 months had passed since the Horizon's arrival at the Kaldar system. What began as a simple sharing of technology had grown into something much larger. Representatives from 12 formerly subjugated species now gathered in the main chamber of the hidden base, finalizing their plans for a coordinated strike against the Vexari Empire. John stood beside Ambassador Nylith, reviewing a holographic map of Vexari territory. Red markers indicated key military installations and fleet positions. "The intelligence from our operatives confirms it," a Kaldar official named Rax explained. "High Commander Zorax has diverted 40% of the Imperial fleet to search for Earth. He's become obsessed with finding your homeworld before you can spread the resonance technology further. Which gives us our opportunity," Nylith added. "Their core worlds are less defended than they've been in centuries." John nodded. "And what about our preparations for defending Earth?" Olivia brought up another display. "We've established a chain of early warning beacons along the approach vectors to our solar system. If Vexari ships get close, we'll have advance notice." "And Earth's defenses?" John asked. "Colonel Howard reports they've equipped 70% of Earth's orbital platforms with resonance projectors," Frank replied. "The first wave of dedicated combat vessels will be ready within weeks." The pace of human technological advancement had shocked their alien allies. Once shown the basic principles, Earth scientists and engineers had not only replicated the resonance technology, but had improved upon it. What had taken other species years to develop, humans accomplished in months. "There's more," Lisa added. "The resistance cells on occupied worlds are ready. Once we begin our assault on the Vexari command structure, they'll rise up simultaneously." John looked around at the gathered aliens. Many had been enemies before the Vexari conquered their worlds. Now they worked together toward a common goal. "When do we move?" he asked. Rax touched the hologram, highlighting a massive space station, orbiting a ringed gas giant. "Tomorrow. Our intelligence suggests Zorax himself will be inspecting the fleet at the Kronos station. If we can capture or eliminate him, the Empire's command structure will fracture." As the meeting concluded, John returned to the Horizon to brief his crew. The ship had been modified with Kaldar and Altarian technology, enhancing its speed and defensive capabilities. It was now designated as the lead vessel for one strike team, while other alien ships would target different objectives. "This isn't what we signed up for," John acknowledged to his assembled officers. "We left Earth expecting a simple scientific mission. Instead, we've found ourselves in the middle of a galactic war." "With respect, Captain," Frank said, "I think this is exactly what humanity has always prepared for. Throughout our history, we've faced overwhelming odds and found ways to prevail." Olivia nodded. "The Vexari have been unchallenged for so long they've grown complacent. They don't adapt quickly. We do." "And we won't let them find Earth," Lisa added firmly. John felt pride in his crew. They had risen to every challenge, adapted to circumstances no human had ever faced before. "Get some rest," he told them. "Tomorrow we make history." Across the galaxy, on Earth, Colonel Patricia Howard watched as the newly completed battleship Defiance prepared for its maiden voyage. Unlike the exploration vessel Horizon, this ship had been built for one purpose: to defend Earth against the Vexari threat. "All weapon systems check out," reported Admiral Nicole Garcia, Who would command the vessel? Resonance projectors are at 120% of expected output. Patricia nodded with satisfaction. The modifications Alan suggested are working well. How many ships can you engage simultaneously? Based on simulations, at least 3 Vexari cruisers, Nicole answered, and we have 5 more ships nearing completion. Let's hope they're enough, Patricia said quietly. The latest communication from Captain Miller indicates the coordinated assault begins tomorrow. If it fails, it won't fail, Nicole stated confidently. And even if it does, we'll be ready. The next day, as the combined resistance fleet approached the Kronos station, John felt a strange calm. The Horizon led a squadron of smaller, faster ships designed to slip past the outer defenses while larger vessels engaged the Vexari warships. Multiple contacts ahead, Frank reported. 7 cruisers and numerous smaller vessels. Right where intelligence said they'd be, John noted. Begin. Phase 1. The resistance fleet split into prearranged groups. Heavy warships from the Kaldar and 3 other species moved to engage the Vexari cruisers directly, their modified weapons specifically targeting the crystalline vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, the Horizon and its escort ships circled wide, using a nearby moon for cover as they approached the station from its blind side. They've detected the main attack force, Lisa reported. Vexari communications indicate they're scrambling to respond. They haven't spotted us yet, Frank added. John watched the tactical display as the battle unfolded. The Vexari responded with their usual precision and overwhelming firepower. But for the first time, they faced enemies who knew their weaknesses and had prepared accordingly. The resistance ships fired resonance weapons in coordinated patterns, creating cascading failures across Vexari defensive systems. Where once a single Vexari cruiser could dominate a battlefield, now they struggled against smaller, more agile opponents. We're approaching the station's access point, Olivia reported. Defenses appear minimal. They've committed everything to the main battle. Prepare boarding teams, John ordered. Remember, our primary objective is the command center. If Zorax is there, we take him alive if possible. The Horizon docked with the station at a maintenance airlock. John led the boarding party himself, along with Frank, Lisa, and several Altarian and Kaldar fighters. They moved through the station's corridors, encountering surprisingly little resistance. Something's wrong, Frank muttered. This is too easy. They reached the central command hub and found it nearly deserted. Only a few junior officers remained, looking terrified as the boarding party burst in. Where is High Commander Zorax? John demanded. One Vexari, braver than the rest, answered. You're too late. The High Commander anticipated your attack. He left an hour ago on his flagship. John felt a chill. Heading where? The Vexari officer's lips curled in a cold smile. To your homeworld, human. Our advanced scouts finally located it. The High Commander leads our main fleet personally to destroy Earth. The blood drained from John's face. He activated his communicator. All teams back to your ships immediately. This was a diversion. As they raced back to the Horizon, Olivia worked frantically to calculate the fastest route to Earth. If they found our solar system, they could arrive within days, she warned. Contact Colonel Howard, John ordered Lisa. Warn them the Vexari are coming. The resistance fleet disengaged from the battle, having destroyed 3 Vexari cruisers with minimal losses. But their victory felt hollow with the news of Zorax's true plan. When the Horizon and the other resistance ships arrived back at the Kaldar base, they were met with grim news. Long-range sensors had detected a massive Vexari fleet, at least 30 cruisers and hundreds of smaller vessels, already approaching Earth's solar system. We'll never make it in time, Rack said sadly. Yes, we will, John replied firmly. Olivia has modified our warp drive using principles from all of your technologies. We can get there first, but we'll need every ship capable of the journey. Ambassador Nylith stepped forward. The Vexari have hunted us all, destroyed our worlds, enslaved our people. Now they target your home. We stand with Earth. One by one, representatives from each species pledged their support. Ships were prepared, crews assembled. Within hours, the largest Allied fleet ever gathered against the Vexari Empire set course for Earth at maximum warp speed. John stood on the horizon's bridge, watching the stars streak by. Earth's fate, and perhaps that of the entire galaxy, would be decided in the coming battle. For the first time, the countless subjugated species had united against their common oppressor. And it had all begun with one human ship, responding to a distress call. As they approached Earth's solar system, John could see the Vexari fleet had already arrived. But so had Earth's defenders. The newly completed Defiance and its sister ships formed a protective barrier around the planet, their resonance weapons firing in coordinated sequences that caused Vexari vessels to shudder and break apart. "Open a channel to all ships," John ordered. "Tell them reinforcements have arrived." The Resistance fleet dropped out of warp directly behind the Vexari armada. Caught between Earth's defenders and the allies they had unwittingly created, the Vexari ships began to falter. On the massive Vexari flagship, High Commander Zorax watched in disbelief as his invincible fleet was surrounded and systematically dismantled by inferior species using Vexari weaknesses against them. "Target Earth directly," he commanded desperately. "Destroy it before more humans can spread their resistance." The flagship turned toward Earth, its main weapon powering up for a planet-killing shot. But before it could fire, the horizon and the Defiance converged on it from opposite sides, their resonance projectors operating in perfect synchronization. The flagship's crystalline structure began to fracture. Systems failed across the massive vessel. Zorax ordered his crew to continue the attack, but many were already abandoning their posts. John's voice came through on all frequencies. "Hi, Commander Zorax, your fleet is defeated. Your empire is falling as we speak. Surrender now and we offer you and your crew safe passage." Zorax hissed in rage. "Vexari do not surrender." "Then you will be the last of that tradition," John replied, calmly. "Because after today the Vexari Empire will learn a new way to exist in this galaxy, as equals, not conquerors." As the flagship systems continued to fail, Zorax finally gave the order to stand down. The battle for Earth was over. Humanity had not only defended its homeworld but had united the galaxy against its greatest threat. In the months that followed, Earth joined the newly formed Galactic Council as an equal member, despite being the newest and least technologically advanced species. Human adaptability and innovation became legendary throughout the stars, and when visitors from distant systems asked how the mighty Vexari had finally been defeated after centuries of dominance, they always received the same answer. No one could stand against them. Then the humans arrived.